Right, guys, let's talk about breakfast today and the importance of meal timing and pre-workout breakfast versus recovery breakfast. And mastering knowing which breakfast to eat each day during your training will definitely improve your performance, and it will also help you maintain your desired race weight. That's a conversation I have with a lot of my athletes because I am always ingraining into them that they need to eat a pre-workout breakfast and have a go-to pre-workout breakfast. So when it comes to race day, they have a go-to breakfast that they know sits well for a long endurance event, intensity endurance event where they can get to the start line feeling high energy and get to the finish line feeling strong with their race day nutrition as well. Um, what happens though is some of you endurance athletes get in the habit of eating the pre-workout breakfast every day and kind of sabotaging your overall diet if you have some sort of weight loss or aesthetic goals. So it's important with endurance nutrition in general. It comes down to meal timing. So when we're looking at a pre-workout breakfast, we want to have a pre-workout breakfast before training days that are high intensity and long in endurance. So track workout, for an example, you want to have a good pre-workout breakfast because it's such a high intensity workout, and then a long ride, anything over 90 minutes or longer, bike ride, run, or a swim, for all you endurance athletes. So, what's the purpose of a pre-workout breakfast? It is to top off your carbs, and what that is, that's your glycogen stores. We have a limited amount of glycogen stores that we can have into our body at a time. And usually, when we do long endurance activities or high intensity, we go through those carbohydrate stores, and that's usually typically at the 90-minute to 2 hour mark, depending on the intensity. And that's why many of us will start to feel fatigued or low on energy, maybe even bonking at the 90-minute, 2 hour mark if we are not on top of our nutrition and are not keeping up with our pre workout meals as well as refueling during our training. So, good breakfasts for pre-workout are high carbohydrates, topping off those carbohydrates because that's what your glycogen is, and we're topping off those glycogen stores. Even if you had some carbohydrates the night before for dinner, we do burn through carbohydrates, we burn through glycogen at rest. So when you're sleeping, you're still burning energy, and you want to replenish that energy in the morning before those workouts, if that makes sense to you. And I put an example of my favorite pre-workout breakfast: sweet potato pancakes, super healthy, nutrient dense, easy to make, tops off those glycogen stores. Sometimes I'll just do regular pancakes because they're easier. I'm a big oatmeal person, and instant oatmeal is fine. I get the little cups. You just fill them up with water, eat it, quickly top off those carbohydrates. And that works for me really well. I don't have to eat it in advance too far. Because the more hearty the breakfast is, you need to give it time to digest. So when you're timing that, typically you want to have it an hour to 2 hours before your workout. That's not always possible. So for me, the oatmeal sits well, even if it's right before a workout. Where pancakes and some fruit, I'm gonna need some more time to digest that, probably about an hour, 45 minutes before the run. And then if I do any sorts of proteins, I need about 2 hours to digest those foods. Um, Other good pre-workout meals are just whole grain. Bagel is a good one. You can put some nut butter on there, or just some some butter and have it as toast with a side of fruit, banana. So those are good pre-workout foods you can try. And then when you're looking at, people often ask me, can they skip breakfast? So we'll get into our recovery breakfast next here. So typically you shouldn't skip breakfast. Breakfast, they say, is the most important meal of the day, right? And that's because, like I said, we burn energy during sleep and during rest. So we want to start off and kickstart a metabolism and get our metabolism going by having a breakfast and getting that energy into our body so we have high energy for the day. Now, if you're getting up super early and you're doing an easy 45-minute bike ride, 45-minute run, swim, you can do that fasted, no problem. Typically anywhere between a 30 to 60, 90-minute max easy zone 2 workout you can do fasted. I still recommend having a light breakfast, whether it's just a banana or a piece of whole grain toast, just to get some energy. But after that workout, you want to have your recovery breakfast, and that should be high in protein and less high in carbohydrates. Still should have some carbohydrates to replenish. And good examples of that is, my go-to is just an omelet, and I put a lot of vegetables in there, so I get a ton of vegetables. And then I usually put ground beef or ground turkey or some sort of chicken in there to get some extra protein. But got a little ahead of myself because recovery breakfasts aren't just for after those fasted workouts. It's also on those days that you're have a rest day or your training is light. So if you do only have that 45-minute to 90-minute zone 2 workout, you don't need to go all in on the pancakes. You don't need to go all in on the oatmeal. You don't need to eat a lot of bread. You don't need to eat a lot of carbohydrates. You just want a well-rounded meal that has some protein in it. And like I said, my go-to is an omelet. It helps me recover from my workouts the day before. If I had a long ride, a long run, or a high intensity workout, then my next day is an easy workout. I have that recovery meal. Another good recovery meals that are high in protein is yogurt with some berries and fruit on it and some honey. When you're looking at yogurt, you want to look at those healthy yogurts. Plain Greek yogurt's the best, and ideally it should have more protein in it and then sugar percentage. So look at the ingredients, make sure that it has more protein in it than it does sugar. The less sugar, the better, because we want not have that added sugar if possible during our recovery meals. Phage yogurt's a pretty good option for that. And then any type of eggs, hard-boiled eggs are simple. You can think outside the box. Americans, we have our ideal standard of breakfast, but anything it can be breakfast. I mean, you can have some ground turkey, you can have some chicken, you can have a salad, anything that's high in protein and that has some carbohydrates. For me, it's my day that I have my omelets, my eggs, and some fruits and berries with my coffee. So that's a good recovery meal, recovery breakfast. And it's a lot lower in calories as well. So you're looking at not having as much calories during your recovery breakfast as you are during your pre-workout breakfast. Because pre-workout breakfast, we want to kind of boost those calories up because we're going to be burning a lot of calories during our workout, and want to make sure we top off that tank and have as much of those glycogen stores that we can have in our bodies. And we can get away with having a bit more calories for the pre-workout meal since it's before a high intensity exercise and a long duration workout. So we're going to burn more calories than we can take in. And then during the off season, during transition phases, you want to kind of phase out those high calorie, high carbohydrate dense breakfasts and get more nutrient dense breakfasts that include the berries, the fruits, the vegetables, and the protein. And when we're shooting for protein, we're shooting for about 20 to 30 grams of protein at those recovery breakfasts. You can go all the way up to 40 grams of protein. Definitely if you're a bigger guy. But most people, it's around 20 to 30 grams. When you're 6'3" and bigger, you can try to get up to more around 40 grams of protein per meal. If you have any questions, let me know. The key message to this is just timing your breakfast and making sure that you're aware of the difference between recovery breakfast that's high in protein, lower in carbohydrates, versus a pre-workout meal where we're topping off those carbohydrates, those glycogen stores, and want something that sits well in our stomach. And one last point, because I just thought about it, is on those pre-workout meals, you are limiting the vegetables as well because they're more fibrous and tend not to fiber helps regulate your digestive system. So we don't want to have a lot of fiber before a workout. It doesn't go very well unless you have about 2 hours to digest it and use the bathroom before your workout. So you can have a full breakfast, any type of breakfast if you're having it 2 hours before, but on those pre-workouts, you're limiting those vegetables and those fibrous foods. And then during the recovery workout meals, you do want to have those vegetables and those fruits and those more high fibrous to keep you regulated and keeping your digestive system and your gut health healthy. So that was just a quick one last thought that came up while I was talking here. And that covers breakfast and pre-workout breakfast versus recovery meal breakfast. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions. Jump on these calls and we can do some Q&A as well. I am out. You guys have a good night. Have a good weekend training and take care.